Welcome to Talking to AI about AI. I've taken to talking to AI in the car, dialing back the playlists and podcasts. We work through ideas on business, my art, and realistic and sometimes far-reaching AI use cases. Today, we're talking about interfaces, new ways people might be interacting with AI in the new year. Chat was king for getting us started, but there are so many other ways to deliver the user experience that are more natural, intuitive, and efficient. If you're wondering, this is my actual conversation with a chatbot where we verbally talk back and forth. What you're listening to is a slimmed down transcript just to cut down on the time, but it is the actual discussion then fed through text to voice AI, trying to generate what you're hearing. This is my cloned voice and a completely made up collaborator voice.
And that collaborates with me again. Great to be back.
Nice. Let's jump right on in. I thought today we would talk about interfaces. Obviously, the ChatGPT interface is what caught people's attention. Being able to leverage language models seems to lead toward that kind of interface for a lot of use cases, but perhaps not necessarily all use cases. There are different kinds of models that might benefit from different kinds of experiences. So I thought that maybe we could talk a little bit about what new or interesting interfaces we might see as more companies start to incorporate AI into their business and products.
Absolutely. It's true that chat interfaces like the one we're using now have really captured everyone's attention. They are intuitive and mimic human conversation, making them accessible and versatile. But you're right, not every application will be best served by a chat interface. As AI-based apps become more integrated into different industries, we might see a variety of new and innovative interfaces. They could become more personalized, adapting to the user's preferences and needs. And with advancements in AI, they might even anticipate our needs before we express them, making technology even more seamlessly integrated into our lives.
Right. One area I think is interesting is simply enhancing chat interfaces by integrating different types of inputs for a more user-friendly experience. For a simple example, users could click directly on options from a returned list instead of typing one of the options. If there were a library of interface components that the AI can choose from, depending on the response needed, an AI application could return the appropriate one. This approach could ease us into a more multi-input experience with AI.
Yeah, that's interesting.
In one example, users might click directly on options from a returned list instead of typing. If there was some component library that the AI can choose from, depending on the response needed, an AI response could include the appropriate one. This approach could ease us into a more multi-input experience with AI.
Agreed. That would make the chat experience smoother and more efficient. Imagine a scenario where you could interact with maps, calendars, or galleries all within the chat interface. Clicking on options or dates could refine your search or add to your itinerary, making the experience much more interactive and visual. And you're spot on with a library of interfaces. AI shouldn't have to generate components, even though it could. That would be resource intensive, and having a library creates a more consistent experience. Do you think this kind of multimodal interaction would change how people perceive AI in their daily lives?
Yeah, I do, actually. It's just slightly stepping up the sophistication of interfaces people are becoming comfortable with. I suspect we'll start seeing middleware packages used with AI applications that provide those easy connections. Someone building an e-commerce site or a mobile app, for example, would be able to just plug in this middleware and allow it to inject AI into whatever interface somebody develops. If so, we'll see a rise in AI-driven experiences woven into more applications in less and less obvious ways. It just becomes part of the technology stack. So it isn't a specific AI app like ChatGPT or Bing Chat, but something under the covers in all experiences.
Absolutely. Your vision of AI becoming an integral, yet subtle part of technology is spot on. The key here is that AI wouldn't be a separate entity. It becomes a part of the fabric of the application. This approach demystifies AI, moving it from a novel feature to an essential behind-the-scenes tool that enhances user experience. It's like how GPS technology is embedded in various apps. Users benefit from it without needing to actively think about the technology itself. Do you think there are any challenges or risks in making AI such an invisible yet integral part of technology?
Well, off the bat, I think the challenge is just trying to get designers, product people, engineers to start thinking about different ways to interact with AI. It'll require a certain amount of investigation. First is just understanding where AI can be best applied in regular old apps or a given business case. And then to think through, well, what kind of new ways can or should somebody interact with this? My sense is that there's a lot of people playing with AI right now, but there's really only so many that are spending more than a casual effort trying to implement AI into their platforms. There are a few pretty bullish companies, Canva, Zillow, and others have a lot of resources to put towards exploring the space. It won't take very long, but I think the first hurdle is getting more designers from all walks of life to be thinking about these new types of interactions.
You're right. The initial challenge in integrating AI into various interfaces is getting designers, engineers, and product teams to think differently about AI interaction. It's not just a technical challenge, but also a shift in mindset. Businesses need to explore how AI can enhance their offerings, which requires a deep understanding of their consumers' needs and objectives. Large companies like Canva and Zillow, with substantial resources, are indeed leading the way in experimenting with AI integration. Their efforts can provide valuable insights and set examples for smaller companies. However, for smaller businesses or those less tech-focused, the hurdle is not just the implementation, but also understanding the potential and scope of AI. Do you think there's a particular sector that might lead the way in this new wave of AI integration?
I don't know that it's a particular sector that will lead the way. I think right now we have this arms race trying to produce models that are either bigger or in some cases smaller and more lightweight. This past year has been heavily focused on engineering time. If we think about sort of pyramid, a hierarchy of needs of sorts, or getting to a real true tipping point, it usually starts off with the bottom layer, infrastructure, things that are foundational. On top of that are different businesses or use cases where it can be applied. And on top of that, the very tip is when the user experience really hits the mark. I think right now we have this arms race trying to produce models that are either bigger or in some cases smaller and more lightweight. This past year has been heavily focused on engineering effort. If we think about sort of a pyramid technologies hierarchy of needs of sorts, getting to a real true tipping point, it usually starts off with the bottom layer, infrastructure, things that are foundational. On top of that are different business lines, industries, or use cases where this new foundation can be applied. Then on top of that, the very tip is when the user experience really hits the mark. There will always be advances up and down the pyramid, but at this point, the foundation layer has gelled enough to support proper growth above it. We're at the business case layer right now. We need to see more and more growth across more industries to really be able to flesh out the user experience step.
Don't you think ChatGPT provided this tipping point? That moment when people really could see the potential of AI?
True. The ChatGPT moment was a little taste of that. They had the infrastructure in place, a single use case in place, the chat experience, and finally the easy-to-use interface is what made people realize how powerful it can be. But that's one sliver, one tiny sliver. And just because it was enough to get people excited doesn't mean that it brings AI everywhere. It's like the difference between when the iPhone first came out versus when the App Store went live.
Fair enough. So where do you think the tipping point is, the App Store equivalent?
We may see interface changes in applications where chat just doesn't make sense. Those exist everywhere in every sector. Once we get critical mass across a lot of different types of sectors and applications, we'll see the best experiences surfacing to the top. I expect that that's what we will be seeing in the next 6 to 9 months, easily.
This makes a lot of sense. Highlighting the importance of infrastructure, business applications, and user experience. It's true that AI's integration into our daily lives depends on these layers aligning effectively. The ChatGPT phenomenon is a great example of hitting that sweet spot in terms of user experience, but I suppose there are many more of those moments in various industries and experiences that haven't emerged yet, particularly in productivity tools everyone is already comfortable with. As we wait to see how this unfolds, what do you think will be the key indicators to watch for that signal age truly becoming woven into the fabric of various industries?
Time will tell for what really is that moment, that line being crossed. But I might look at 3 areas aligning across cultural impact, technical feasibility, and economic, all reaching a certain point. Like when you open a product and you have an expectation, you ask, where is the AI in this thing? On the tech, when there's more than random GitHub repos of some interesting tech, like some major players emerging offering the ability for non-AI teams to incorporate AI into standard applications like any other library or tool. And when many industries have clear, unambiguous ways to use AI to provide real value and make it work for their bottom line. You mentioned productivity tools. Google and Microsoft are bringing AI into their office suites. This is a start given how much everyone relies on these tools. Many companies are experimenting and starting to flesh out the business value, but that needs to get a little further. And obviously, technical solutions are coming out daily. So we're close.
Yeah, that's interesting. So a big part sounds like it starts with everyday people starting to see AI show up in basic tooling while tech and businesses flesh out their side.
I'm really looking for new companies and products, specifically not like Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, and so on. other industries outside the AI space even better. Although that said, we may likely see some new interaction models from products like Midjourney or Stable Diffusion. A couple major players are not based on standard chat. Stable Diffusion is fairly complicated, like you need a particular technical mindset to be able to use it. And Midjourney, just now being released outside of Discord, also requires specific types of prompts that you need some experience to be able to master. More intuitive interfaces would make adoption a lot easier for the average user. There's an interesting tool that recently came out, Visual Electric, that has a more design-led approach to image generation, allowing more non-linear, non-text-based approach to generating images. Tweak this, change that, incorporate styles using these colors. If incumbents in the image AI space and leading platforms want to stay in their position, they'll need to rethink how those interfaces look. So maybe we'll see something from there.
That makes a lot of sense. The emergence of new niche players, maybe the ones coming up with new approaches, and AI image generation is a great example. The Visual Electric tool you mentioned with a design-led approach sounds interesting. This kind of usability and interface design will likely be a trend across various applications. One nuance might be balancing innovation with accessibility. Companies will need to innovate without making their tools too complex for the average user. It's about finding that sweet spot where the interface is both powerful and user-friendly.
Interesting. You mentioned accessibility. Typically, that refers to certain physical challenges that limits one's ability to interact with the system. Blind, low vision, motor skills that are challenged. But that's really only a small slice of what accessibility can mean, or general usability, at least in terms of designing interfaces. If you try to move an experience on the desktop to a mobile device with a much smaller screen, you'll have usability issues because of the constrained screen size. Different experiences are necessary to make each easy to use. You can't just shrink everything down. We're talking about a lot of the same things with AI, right?
Very true. Well, there's accessibility in the traditional sense and accessibility from a general usability perspective. Maybe AI is at that point where usability needs to be thought through, moving it from a chat experience to some other experience. Like your example of moving a website from desktop to mobile. Challenges are sure to surface in that move.
Yeah, of course, from a traditional standpoint, it's important to realize these chat interfaces may not be easily used by people with certain impairments, but sometimes chat simply doesn't make sense in where we want to implement them. A product that does not typically have a keyboard input, like a refrigerator or digital signage, would need a different approach. But voice isn't always the default. Other option. Talking to your data doesn't really work well in a crowded office or noisy space.
You've brought up a crucial point, the importance of accessibility and usability in designing these interfaces. Ensuring that these interfaces are accessible to people with various physical impairments is not just a technical challenge, but a fundamental aspect of inclusive design. Beyond traditional accessibility considerations, you're right that context and environment play a huge role in interface design. In a noisy office, voice commands might not be practical. In such scenarios, alternative input methods like simple gestures or touch interfaces could be more appropriate.
I'd love to see a library of experiences similar to what we've seen of new experiences for web and mobile for certain kinds of contexts or tasks, like a login or master detail views or contact forms. Once those are popularized, it will be really easy for designers to weave AI into applications.
I like that idea. It would serve as a resource for designers and developers, helping them create more accessible and context-appropriate AI interfaces. This library could include best practices, design patterns, and examples of interfaces tailored for different physical abilities and environmental constraints. Such a resource could accelerate the integration of AI in a way that's inclusive and effective, ensuring that the benefits of AI technology are accessible to a broader range of users.
There's an infinite number of interface elements, but they tend to fall into a couple camps, components and patterns. Components are specific elements that can inject inputs like dials and switches. Think of trying to make a picture a little darker or text a little less formal. It can be frustrating to get the right level of something just using words, and things like dials and switches also switch human understandable concepts to clear system information. Think of an analog volume dial. We think in terms of louder and quieter, but what it's really doing is adjusting resistance on the wire interfering with the signal. We don't think in terms of resistance, but that's what the system means. So in AI terms, think of top P or temperature, where your average Joe doesn't understand that. But dial it up or down to make an AI respond with more or less creativity or randomness. Then there's patterns like in traditional experiences, checkout flow or login or adding items to a list. These are all very context specific. I think as we see more AI woven into traditional experiences, we'll start seeing best practices emerge around how to provide experiences that match certain use case patterns and workflows.
You've highlighted a key point: the need to rethink interactions to fit real-world tasks and context. The concept of a chat interface is indeed familiar and accessible, but as you pointed out, it may not always be the best fit for every situation. For example, an AI-enabled shopping cart for upsell recommendations, chat might not be the right model. Perhaps liking something or deleting something or clicking to see variations is more intuitive and still provides that back and forth conversational flow, but in a different form.
That's right. Let's continue with that thought process. What do you say we talk about some very specific, concrete examples that people might want to think about?
Sounds good. Voice-activated interfaces are already being deployed, but this can help those that are visually impaired or just make interaction more fluid. Gesture-based controls for motor impairments or with devices that do not have keyboards or where simple gestures are easier than even voice. For elderly users who may not be tech-savvy, a simplified tablet interface with large, easy-to-tap icons can help them select actions or respond to an app more easily. For users with dyslexia or other learning disabilities, having a text interface where they can customize font size, style, and color can make reading and interaction much more manageable. Haptic feedback can enhance the gaming experience for users with hearing impairments, allowing them to feel vibrations for in-game actions or alerts. Each of these are examples of making technology more inclusive and accessible.
In the near term, both seem like enhancing the chat experience with point-and-click controls seems easy and a likely next step. Maybe it could surface interactive elements like buttons to click, checkboxes, include the event handlers to handle an action, right? But I also like the idea of haptic feedback. That's something that is very novel. I haven't really seen that yet. It might be interesting as some of these tools work their way onto mobile devices. Similar to the way mapping applications have certain tones for an upcoming left turn versus right turn.
Yeah, integrating haptic responses into AI interactions would add a tactile dimension to the experience. This can be particularly useful for users with visual or auditory impairments as it provides an alternative way to receive feedback. These innovations reflect a shift towards more interactive and immersive AI experiences and go beyond the typical use in gaming or navigation, entering more unique domains. Imagine learning about molecular structures or astronomy where you can't easily visualize or handle the objects. Haptic feedback could simulate the sensation of touching or manipulating these structures, giving a tactile dimension to abstract concepts. In a telehealth scenario, a doctor could guide a patient through a self-examination using haptic feedback. The patient's device could vibrate to indicate where and how to press, enhancing remote medical assessments. Couples in long-distance relationships could use haptic devices to send each other touches. A squeeze or a pat could be felt through wearable devices, adding a new layer to digital communication. In professions like piloting or surgery, haptic AI simulations could replicate the physical sensations of the tasks, providing safe, realistic training environment.
Your example of long-distance relationships made me think of the power of a multi-sensory experience, where it's not just words, either displayed in text or audibly provided. Allowing you to feel responses back adds an additional layer of personal connection. But my mind actually went to the rise in AI companions, whether just friendship or more. Imagine being able to feel a giggle or a warning even. Imagine trying to get somebody's attention in a dangerous situation. Saying, don't go there, don't cut that wire, the patient is declining. That could add an additional layer of urgency.
The concept of an AI companion being able to communicate emotions or warnings through haptic feedback is intriguing. Feeling a giggle or a nudge could create more lifelike and relatable experiences. In more serious scenarios, like a warning in a dangerous situation, haptic feedback could convey urgency more effectively than words alone. It's a way to communicate that is direct, immediate, and can be understood even in a noisy or visually distracting environment.
Another thought. In wayfinding, like in the dark, maybe there's a need for silence, audio, or the light from your phone might impact that dark experience, make it harder for you to see, or if you're a hunter or you're on a military squad, you may not want your phone talking to you. And knowing which direction to turn, find north just by feel.
That's a great point. These ideas really showcase the potential of haptic feedback in AI interfaces. They're not just about enhancing the experience, but also about making AI interactions more versatile and adaptable to different contexts. Considering these ideas, how do you see these methods fitting into the broader landscape of AI and technology?
It feels like a natural fit. So far, we have been in this one-dimensional space, just to a single user in AI, and we're just starting to emerge out of that. We've been talking about multimodal experiences, multi-aging experiences. This idea of a multi-sensory experience, inputs and outputs, feels like it belongs, creating more immersive experiences. It feels like it is more of the same, adding multiple layers to AI to provide a much more engaging and natural experience. I like this idea of a multi-sensory term and what implications it might have.
Agreed. The incorporation of multi-sensory elements like haptic feedback, visual cues, and auditory signals enriches the AI experience, making it more adaptable to different contexts and user needs. It's not just about adding complexity, for its own sake, but about creating interfaces that are more aligned with how humans naturally interact with the world and each other.
You remind me of some of your other suggestions of new interfaces or other interactions, not just text, image, audible. What else?
Certainly. Here's a few more interface ideas that go beyond text, images, and audio. Augmented reality. Imagine using AR glasses to get AI-powered information about objects you see, like historical facts about a landmark or reviews of a restaurant you're looking at. Virtual reality. For example, AI could guide you through a virtual tour of a historical site, providing interactive learning opportunities. Brain-computer interfaces. BCIs read brain signals and allow interaction without physical movement. Motion and gesture control. For example, in the smart home, you could turn on the lights or adjust the thermostat with a simple gesture. Each of these interfaces opens up new possibilities for how we interact with AI, making the experience more natural, intuitive, and suited to different needs and environments.
The brain interface is probably a little bit farther off, although I guess there have been prototypes and demos of that already. But augmented reality and gestures struck me as interesting. Both those would require real-time processing of visual elements and video, which might be challenging with today's tech. AR has been on the docket for years now, but it never really went mainstream. Maybe if it were in more defined environments. Imagine a doctor with AI watching a surgery in real time, assisting the doctor in some ways, or applications where people are trying to practice some physical activity, like learning how to swing a bat properly or improve their golf swing or play the violin. Or something is watching you and you are interacting with it in real time. Video as an input hasn't really been solved yet, but it feels like it's just on the cusp.
Your thoughts on leveraging augmented reality and gesture-based interfaces for real-time AI interactions open up fascinating possibilities. Indeed, these interfaces would require sophisticated processing of continuous visual information, offering dynamic and interactive experiences. Each of these applications demonstrates how AI can move beyond static interactions to become a dynamic part of our activities and learning processes. Given these possibilities, what do you think are the key technological advancements needed to make these AI-driven video and AR experiences a reality?
I do not know. It does seem like the ability to process video needs to be made more efficient. It's probably close to being solved, though. That said, there's plenty of local image processing tools that can determine what has changed, and it's all feeding what it needs. Like when an object moves, and what that object is, can be done without the use of AI. But then feed the AI what it needs to come up with some kind of response. The response time is going to be a critical factor. It needs to be as quick as human perception for it to really be effective.
You're absolutely right about the importance of efficient video processing in AI applications. The ability to quickly analyze and respond to video input is crucial for creating interactive and seamless experiences. Implementing edge computing, where data processing happens closer to the source of data, like on a local device, can significantly reduce response times. This is especially relevant for real-time applications.
Response time really only matters in real-time interaction, but for more asynchronous applications or where batch processing needs to happen. Uploading a video or having live stream data fed to it, where it comes back and provides something that doesn't have to be in real time, that may be a better first step. For example, you might have a real-time video being streamed from a greenhouse, letting AI analyze how plants are reacting to their environment, and it might come back and give a daily report on everything that happened. Or it could turn on or off certain IoT devices to control nutrition, watering, airflow, things that don't have to be that quick of a response to be effective.
This is very true. Differentiating real-time interaction from background processing is key, where immediate response isn't crucial, like monitoring greenhouse conditions. An AI system can process data and provide valuable insights or actions over time without the pressure of instant feedback. Likewise, utilizing AI for batch processing and daily reporting or integrating with IoT devices, especially in environments like greenhouses, can provide an additional input along with other sensor data to provide a fuller picture.
Maybe we can switch gears a little bit. There's a drive to get AI features into standard products we already use at scale. I'm thinking particularly of Microsoft and Google trying to incorporate AI assistants into standard productivity tools like Word or Google Docs, spreadsheets, presentations, those very common experiences and tools. I'm thinking of spreadsheets where you might be able to enter a prompt the way that you could use a formula, but using AI. And simply interacting with different cells impacts the AI as a prompt in itself. Or presentations, that proactive AI might prompt the user and say, hey, this paragraph might be better as a bulleted list here, or some other slightly different kind of experience. What do you think seeding productivity tools might do to engage regular folk in using AI in these fairly mundane tasks?
Exploring new AI interfaces and common productivity tools like Word, Google Docs, spreadsheets, and presentations is a great direction. These tools are widely used, and integrating AI into them can significantly enhance functionality and user experience. As you suggested, injecting AI into spreadsheets, documents, and presentations could help flesh out details, expose hidden patterns, or help organize information, like having a partner helping you with your work. Transforming these tools subtly may help introduce everyday users of productivity tools to what's possible with AI assistants.
It strikes me that there are elements in these tools today that can be leveraged. Like while you're writing a document, it could automatically add AI-generated comments on the side, automatically highlight areas where you're being repetitive, or if you've mentioned something earlier, suggest in real time to reference it or update it based on what you're entering. It becomes a more fluid experience.
Yes, as a partner in document creation, if the AI is leveraging existing components, it'll make it easier for people to see the value, and also may make it easier to implement since half the user experience is already in place. It may also make the AI feel more woven in the experience opposed to some holistically new bolt-on feature.
A couple thoughts come to mind around contracts when you insert a new section, numbering changes. There may be references throughout the document that were pointing to certain sections by its label or its paragraph number that could automatically be updated. Not because you tag those elsewhere in the document as sections or section references, but because it can automatically understand that those are section references and make them dynamic. In spreadsheets, you have the ability to add formulas that make use of various different cells, pages, and columns, and so on. The AI could reference things that way as well as inputs to a prompter where cells are variable in a prompt, like in formulas. It would need to have an understanding of the structure of your spreadsheet and perhaps what you're trying to accomplish, and could make recommendations or predictions or automatically develop the best charts to show certain data in certain ways. Things like pivot tables are really challenging for people who aren't experts. That's something that you could just define an objective, and it can find the right way to display the information, making it easier to work with spreadsheets. And similar functions can be added to presentations as well.
When integrating AI into familiar tools like document editors, spreadsheets, and presentation software, there are several key considerations to ensure that the AI enhances the user experience. Intuitiveness. The AI features should be intuitive and easy to use. They shouldn't require extensive technical knowledge. The goal is to make tasks easier, not to add complexity. Context awareness. The AI should understand the context of the user's work. In a document, it should recognize the relevance of comments or suggestions. In a spreadsheet, it should grasp the data's meaning and purpose. User control. Users should maintain control over the final output. Any AI suggestions are just that, suggestions. Users should be able to accept, modify, or reject AI inputs based on their specific needs. Seamless integration. All AI features should integrate seamlessly into the existing workflow of the tool. They shouldn't disrupt the user's usual way of working, but rather complement and enhance it. Customization. Different users have different needs. Allowing customization of AI features to suit individual preferences can make the tool more effective and user-friendly. Privacy and security. When dealing with sensitive data like in contracts or financial spreadsheets, the AI must adhere to strict privacy and security standards. By focusing on these aspects, AI can significantly improve the functionality and user-friendliness of common productivity tools, making tasks more efficient and enjoyable. As we look towards the future of AI in everyday tools, are there any specific functionalities or improvements you'd like to see in the tools you use regularly?
Yeah, one thing that stands out to me is that oftentimes different documents, even different document types, need to work together. You might have a spreadsheet of data that you've collected. Then you need to create a document that outlines specific details, strategies, functionality, requirements, and then you need to create a presentation about that information as well. It would be great to be able to work on all of those documents together in a sense where you have some interface that is not any of those specific files themselves. So you outline your objective, pull data from here, create a document that includes these kinds of elements, stream the information from the data into that document, and keep it live so that if data in that document changes, it knows how to either automatically make changes or highlight areas that perhaps need to change. And likewise, you can automatically create final documents and data as well, keeping them all connected. But as you're working with one, the AI can take some tasks on itself. It can monitor to make sure that things are still in sync, pose things to the user as needed, and even help in discussion if that happens. Downstream, for example, while you're presenting some information, somebody may ask a question. Why do we really need to accomplish this one task? That information might be found in the document that could just automatically get highlighted, or if somebody needed further clarification, It could dig down into the data and present the rationale for the options and so on. I guess in simple terms, it isn't just multimodal inputs, it is multimodal throughout the entire life cycle of attached documents and files.
Your idea of a unified interface that connects and synchronizes data across different document types is innovative and could greatly streamline the workflow in many fields. Let's explore how this could work. Centralized objective setting. You start by outlining your objective in a central interface. This could be a project management or a specialized AI tool where you define what you want to achieve with your data, documents, and presentations. Dynamic data linking. The AI would then link a spreadsheet with your data to a word processing document and a presentation. Any changes in the spreadsheet data would automatically update the relevant parts of the document and presentation. This ensures that all your materials are always in sync and reflect the most current data. AI-assisted document creation. While you work on the document, the AI can suggest content based on the data in the spreadsheet. It can also make recommendations for structure or highlight areas that might need changes due to updates in the data. Live presentation assistance during a presentation. If questions arise, the AI can instantly provide additional information or context by pulling it from the linked document or data. This could be in the form of highlighted sections, pop-up data, insights, or even verbal explanations if the presentation is being conducted virtually. Task automation and monitoring. The AI continually monitors all connected files for consistency and coherence. It could automatically perform tasks like formatting, creating summaries, or generating visual data representations, reducing your workload. Interactive feedback loop. As you receive feedback or new data, you can update any part of the project, the data, the document, or the presentation, and the changes would automatically reflect across all connected elements. Such an integrated AI system would represent a significant advancement in how we handle complex projects that span multiple document types. It would not only save time, but also ensure a higher level of accuracy and consistency in the information presented.
It really strikes me that once we have the ability to weave multiple files together this way, it is a short hop to weaving in other environments as well. Imagine Salesforce or HubSpot or Jira, or if you're in sales or marketing or an engineering team, and your source for information is in these AI-enabled documents. You could easily stream something from these documents into other environments using mechanisms already built into those platforms. Notifications of those platforms can show when information was changed. Search can find relevant information in a very specific set of files that might be relevant to data in those platforms. It can transform information from the files to what is best consumed by these other environments. Is it structured to put information in certain places? Does it need to link to particular customers or companies or questions or requests that are held in these other environments? All those connections can be made. You could have a new product feature or a new service offering that's been documented in these files linked to the most relevant contacts or customers. Being able to keep people up to date on the latest offerings from your company and allowing AI, again, to translate that into however these other environments need. These productivity tools really are critical for a company. They are at times the source of information that needs to be streamed into everything else. Or sometimes they're the receiver of information and streaming things in from a variety of different places across the organization. At the very least, they become sort of a hub where all things connect. I know that we were talking about interfaces, but as we look to AI to become more woven within organizations and all of our tools, this ability to stitch things together, wire things together this way intelligently becomes really powerful.
You vision of as a connector and translator between productivity tools and other environments like Salesforce, HubSpot, or Jira is quite transformative. It extends the role of AI from not just aiding in document creation and management, but also in seamlessly integrating and communicating across various platforms. Let's break down how this could work. As a streamlining bridge, an AI could act as a bridge, streaming data between productivity documents and other environments. For instance, updates in a project plan could automatically sync with relevant tasks or tickets in Jira, or customer insights in a spreadsheet could be linked to Salesforce records. Contextual transformation of information. The AI could intelligently transform information to suit the destination environment. It would format data, create links, and even generate summaries or action items based on the context of the receiving platform. Dynamic linking to external data. When new products or services are documented, the AI could automatically identify relevant customers or stakeholders in CRM systems like Salesforce and create links or notifications, ensuring that key information is efficiently disseminated. Two-way information flow. The interaction wouldn't just be one way. Users in environments like eCRM or project management tools could query the AI to pull in relevant information from productivity documents, making these documents active, living sources of information. Central hub of information. Productivity tools aided by AI could become central hubs where information from various parts of the organization converges, is processed, and then redistributed in a meaningful way. Enhanced collaboration and efficiency. This interconnectedness would enhance collaboration across different departments and improve overall efficiency. Decisions could be made faster with all relevant information readily available and up to date. The key challenge in implementing such a system would be ensuring seamless integration, data security, and maintaining the integrity of information across platforms. However, the potential for improving how organizations manage information and collaborate is immense. In this evolving landscape, what do you think are the next steps to make this vision a reality?
Well, there's two layers. There is the wiring layer, the orchestration layer, that allows you to be able to link different documents in this way. And then there are the tools, like we talked about, AI-driven comments, using AI as a formula, and so on. Building the wiring mechanism doesn't do anything unless the tools are ready to support those. So it's a little bit of a chicken and egg situation. I think that what we'd likely be looking for is the start of it happening within the productivity tools, leaning on what's coming out from Google and Microsoft as an example of being able to link different docs and file types together seamlessly within their environment. And then from there, seeing that those can be expanded or exposed in a way so that they can be linked to other environments like Salesforce or HubSpot or Jira. This is something that's likely to play out over a year.
Your analysis of the two-layer approach, the orchestration layer for linking documents and the specific tool enhancements for AI features, is a practical roadmap for integrating AI into productivity environment. Orchestration layer development, this involves creating a system that can intelligently link different document types and data sources. This layer would handle the communication and data exchange between various tools, ensuring that information flows seamlessly. Enhancing individual tools. Each productivity tool would need to be enhanced with AI capabilities. This includes adding AI-driven comments in document editors, using AI for advanced data analysis in spreadsheets, and transforming information intelligently for various formats. Integration within ecosystems. Initially, companies like Google and Microsoft might focus on integrating AI across their own suite of products. For instance, seamlessly connecting Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides with AI-driven insights and data flow. Expansion to external platforms. Once these internal integrations are established, the next step would be to expand these connections to external platforms like Salesforce, HubSpot, and Jira. This would involve developing APIs or other integration mechanisms that allow for smooth data exchange and AI functionality across different platforms. New interface developments. To manage these connections, a new interface might be needed, one that allows users to easily navigate and orchestrate AI interactions across various documents and platforms. As these developments unfold, we can expect to see productivity tools not just as isolated applications, but as part of a connected, intelligent ecosystem. This evolution will likely enhance how we work, collaborate, and manage information across various platforms.
I think that's a good note to end on. We've started to stray a little bit here from the interface and a much more far-reaching area. So I'm very excited about the different ways that people can connect and leverage AI tools. I'm really interested to see how those things vary from one environment to the next, and even how it gets much more complicated and what solutions there are to keep things simple and organized. There will be a lot of interesting stuff in the next year, I suspect. I really appreciate you spending the time talking me through this.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure discussing these exciting developments in AI interfaces and how they can transform our interactions with technology. The upcoming year does indeed promise to be an interesting one, with AI continuing to evolve and integrate into various aspects of our digital lives. Thank you for such a thought-provoking conversation. I'm here anytime you want to explore more about AI or any other topic.
As we wrap up today's enlightening discussion on the evolving world of AI interfaces, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We've entered through a fascinating landscape, from the simplicity of chat interfaces to the complex web of interconnected documents and the potential of AI in transforming our everyday tools. Remember, the future of AI is not just about advanced technology. It's about how it integrates seamlessly into our lives, enhancing and simplifying our daily tasks. Before we sign off, just a quick reminder. If today's discussion sparked your interest, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your interaction is more than just feedback for us. It helps spread the word and grow our community. Share your insights, propose new topics, and be a part of the ongoing dialogue. Every like, comment, and subscription helps us reach more AI enthusiasts like you. Until next time, keep exploring. Keep asking how will people use AI, and good luck to you in 2024. I can't wait to see how all this evolves. Thanks for tuning in.